What do you remember about life before integration?
Life before integration. I remember what at that time we wouldn't have given it a name, but it was probably known as separate but equal,
Yeah.
meaning that we went to what was predominantly, what was an all black high school
Mhm.
and elementary school.
Mhm.
And there we were aware that our books were used books. We never had new textbooks.
Mhm.
Basically, after the white school had finished with the books, they would come to
Remember
us.
when you first became
Right.
conscious of your color and what it meant living where you lived at that time? Can you describe a moment? Which basically did in the other question.
But we were always conscious. As a family, we were a family of educators. My sister Flossie was the first person to receive a PhD from Jefferson County. We grew up in Monticello, Florida, just 26 miles east of here.
Mm-hmm.
And so she had impressed upon us the importance of education.
Mm-hmm.
I had sisters in college when I was born.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were working in, two of them were librarians, later on became librarians. And so we always had access to books. So
Yeah,
we read
so.
a lot. And we probably had a set of encyclopedias long before most black families, because my sister worked in the library
Yeah.
and they're gonna throw away the old books.
Yeah, so
She
we got
brought
the
a set,
hookup.
yeah, she brought a set home. And I remember we had the complete set, maybe except for one alphabet, something like that.
What role, if any, did faith or your church family play in your life during those times?
Well, our family has always been a spiritual based family, a faith based family.
Mm-hmm.
My father was a minister in the church growing up, and he was also very active in the community. So he was well respected from that. And then I tried to use that to influence friends of mine. I would always invite them to come to worship, and that was during the time when faith was important. When people talk about the importance of Bible in the school and taking Bible out of the school, I don't think, a prayer rather, not the Bible, I don't think that was so important as opposed to the culture of the times. Most people, because of segregation and all of that, churches were very prominent in the education of the Negro, the black child. Has always had their roots in the church. Participated, so on the lookout, because we knew that there were people that would try and disrupt the process. And even to the standpoint that I remember when the sheriff brought the guys out, the young white guys out, to set up a cross and then set it afire. And when we called law enforcement, the same sheriff came back to investigate, so we knew that there wasn't going to be any.
Why did they do that? Just to because they knew that how
they
strong
didn't know that we saw them. You know, because we were out there
Did
on the lookout.
segregation affect your decision to either leave or stay where you grew up?
I had thought about leaving, but the incident that we talked about with the appendix rupturing and that type of thing, and my family emphasizing that all of my other sisters and brothers had gone to FAMU, and that I was expected to go to FAMU also. Staying in the South, I definitely planned to leave the South.
So eventually.
Right, once I graduated, that was known. I had a brother, several brothers that were harassed by local law enforcement, the sheriff's department. I remember.
What about the civil rights movement as it happened in other places? Do you remember?
In other places?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean TV. We used to watch Douglas Evans and Walter Cronkite. That was the we were aware of what was going on in the civil rights movement. We were aware of what was taking place in other cities. And my brother in Selma, Alabama, was married to a young lady whose parents were the first two to register to vote. We were in Selma. Back then, the news was different. The news was sort of fact-based. Now we have opinion-based news and moderators and commentators and all of that.
Yeah, so you really knew it was going on.
Yeah, back then, they reported the news, and they would go into a scene, and they'd have reporters. It was real. Now you have more commentary.
The 50th anniversary of Malcolm X's assassination. It's been 48 years since the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. Do you remember where you were when you heard the news about them both?
No, with Martin Luther King, I was at FAM, and I had gone home. I lived right off campus, so I had gone down the hill. And so what happened, as soon as it was announced, everybody started going back to campus because everybody was upset, and so you wanted to be with your friends and all of that, because we were away from home.
Okay.
So we go back on campus, and then later on that evening, it turns dark, and there's some violence that breaks out. And so we all up there on campus running around. The police start gathering around because I guess they figure there's going to be some type of demonstration. So somewhere, an innocent person in the car was sort of like firebomb. You know how people get to rocking cars and doing things. And I think during this period that when this happened, one person was killed. And so it was a difficult time. And college campuses were very, very active because that's where most of the movements were. All the marches sort of came from college campus. You know, you can imagine that Stokely Carmichael and Bobby Seale, the Black Panthers, you know, all of Angela Davis, all of these things. These folks were very active on college campuses back then, and even our comedians, you know, Dick Gregory, and you just name it, they all would come to FAMU, and students were very active, and that's where the movement was on college campuses.
Gotcha.
And so that's how it affected us in a very negative way, to realize that this national leader that was working on behalf of the people was now dead. And Malcolm's death was unfortunate because you're talking about a brilliant orator and thinker. You know, he was a man that embodied the essence of what African Americans were thinking and were afraid to say it. You know, Malcolm said it. You know, so that's why he's on that picture up there. If you look at that, the whole idea, they weren't opposed to it. Let me change it. They were afraid. So sometimes when you're afraid, it looks like you might be opposed, but you're not. And the fear wasn't for them, the fear was for us because the fear was real. And so, you know, my father would say, well, I don't want you out there in this, you know, out there marching. Thing, you know, when you're watching the news and you're seeing it happen other places, Cheney and Swerner and Medgar Evers and just on and on and on, families feared that it would come to their communities. But Malcolm probably had more impact on young people during this time than parents had. And so it's a difficult thing for a parent to feel that they are losing control, not because they're not sympathetic. Most of the young people's parents were told that they'd be fired, and these folks needed their jobs. And so a young person participating in a march then could result in both parents losing their jobs. And
of all the things you've lived through, which do you think are the most important?
Family. I mean, the support of family and the love of family, and it transcends everything else. If you have people that care about you and people that you care about, there isn't anything that you can't accomplish in life. And
okay, so how has your community changed over time?
My community is different in that because of economics, I have to caution myself that I don't live white. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I can't afford to feel privileged that if we are not all making progress, then I'm not making progress. And it's every once in a while, I remember being in Los Angeles, we lived in Los Angeles for 23 years. Every once in a while, a white person would say, Clint, you're not like other blacks. And I said, you know, that's an insult.
That
An
is.
insult to me. I mean, other blacks, I said, who are you talking about? You know, the people I know, the people I engage with are all fun, loving, spiritual minded people, hardworking folks, and you tell me about something like I'm better than somebody else. No, I'm not like other whites. You know, that's what you ought to be saying. But that's an insult, and they take it like I should see it as a compliment. So you have to be careful that you don't buy into that foolishness, because that's all that it is.